morning. All right. Well, this morning I want to ask you a question before we start. I want to ask you the question of how many of you would like to have more time in your day? Wow, good. It's not going to happen. How many of you would like to improve your grades? Okay, some of you might be getting 4.0s, so that's why you didn't raise your hand. I get that, or you're just satisfied with the 2.0, whatever. How many of you actually want to improve on how you do your job? Okay, that's good. How about improving relationships, your friendships, other relationships, more special relationships? How many of you want to improve in your, let's say, your bank account? Yeah, okay. That's going to take time. Just going to make that very clear to all of you. But really what we want to do this morning is let you know that there's an answer to all of those. And it's this concept of structure. Now, a lot of times people hear the word structure and they're like, strict. It's not that. It's guidelines. So what is structure? Well, structure has several different looks. Sometimes it's diagrams. Sometimes it's schedules. Sometimes it's methodologies. Sometimes it's just plans. Structure is all around us. Now think about that in our personal life. I have structure in my personal life. If my bank account falls below zero, I have no money, meaning I cannot pay bills. If I'm late on a bill, something happens. There's structure with relationships. If my kids do not get to school on time, there's a consequence to that. Or if dad, like me, forgets them at school, I get the phone call. So there's structure there. There's structure in your professional life. You work for people, or you will work for people, or even now in classes, your professors, probably each of them have a little different idea of structure, give you something different, right? Some of them are very strict to the syllabus. Some of them are like, you know what, we're going to add a quiz here and a test here and a project here. I see a lot of heads nodding. Hopefully that doesn't happen as much as I'm seeing, but the idea of it is structure is there in your professional life. And sometimes you really don't have a choice in that structure. You just got to do it. Now, structure in your spiritual life. Maybe you've never thought about that. God has laws. If you go back to the beginning of time and the creation of the world, God did that with structure. There was morning, there was evening, there was the second day. God saw that it was good. Look into the New Testament, and even in the Old Testament, there's several verses that say God is a God of order, not disorder. So a lot of times when we hear these word structures, why do we fight it? I think I have a couple reasons why we fight it, and I'm going to give you a little look into my heart. Don't tell me what to do. I can do it myself. When somebody gives me a structure, I don't want a structure because I want to have the freedom to be creative. I don't want structure because I don't want to be put into a box. So if I have a structure, immediately I think that this is going to put me in a box and I have no flexibility. Another reason why we don't like structure, or I don't like structure, is it's scary. I don't understand how to use that program, and they're asking me to use that program or this process, and it doesn't make sense to me, and I'm going to fail. So what I want to do this morning is just kind of give you a little bit of a breath of fresh air, hopefully, and give you an idea of what structure really is. So really what structure is this. It protects you. Now think about that. It protects you. We're going to break this down in a little bit. It respects others, and it'll also provide opportunities to serve and build and strengthen or deepen relationships. So let's break it down. It protects you. If you have a structure around your time, let's use time. That's the easiest one to do. If you have a structure around your time, it protects you. So if you say at 10 o'clock every night, I'm going to study. That's really late because I'm usually asleep. But from 10 till 11, I'm going to study. And people know that. Maybe they'll leave you alone. It protects you. Now, what about respecting others? When you don't get things done on time in a group project, does it have an adverse effect on the other people in the group? Hate group projects. Hated it through my master's work. It's like these guys never get things done on time, and it's at the very end, it's the day before the project's due, and you're working like crazy. That didn't respect my time because they didn't have structure. Now, I've done the same thing. One of the reasons why in our team we wear name tags is when I see you around campus and your name tag is not on, I am purposely trying to say is, hey, I'm just going to talk to them, but I'm not going to really get into the work stuff right now because they're not on the clock. So if you have a structure, it respects or protects your time, it respects others' times, but it also gives me the opportunity to build relationships and serve people. So if I have structure in my life, so 8 to 5, I'm usually in the office. When I go home at 5 o'clock, because of the structure that I've set, for 4 hours uninterrupted, I can be with my kids and my wife. And that allows me that if my mom needs something, which happened just a couple days ago, she ran over a curb with her car, and she needed me to come look at the car and take it to a shop. I had the ability to do that because of the structure that I've had in my life. And you look at this and go, well, how in the world do I actually do this? Well, I think structure is one way to be professional. So let me break it down. We'll make it really, really easy for you. So if you want to be a pro at this, there's a couple things that you've got to have. You've got to have your priorities, you have to have your responsibilities, and then you have your organization. So we're going to go through this. So priorities. Do you know your priorities? And when I mean priorities, I'm talking about big rocks. So right now as a student, one of your big rocks is your educational experience, your classes. That's a big rock. But a lot of times, that's not a big rock for you because you're just like, you know what, I'll get to it when I get to it. No, that's a big rock for you right now. So if you're laying out the big rocks in my life, it's my wife, it's my kids, it's my family, it's my friends, it's my career, and it's my church. Those are mine. Everything else, you notice golf wasn't in on that, right? Basketball wasn't in on that. Sports was not in on that. You know, going on vacations or doing business trips wasn't in on that because it's not one of my big rocks, but because I know my big rocks, I can fit other things in around those. A lot of times people say, you know what, here's my day, here's Wednesday. It's not Wednesday, but here's Friday. Let's use the real day. Here's Friday. Here's everything I have for Friday. How do I prioritize what happens today? No, that's not how it works. It's more like, what do I need to get done? Schedule those things, and then you'll start seeing a lot of open spots in your calendar. But if you just try to say, okay, what's done to do today, and just run around like a chicken with your head cut off, that's what you're going to feel like. And that's the problem. You do not want to prioritize your schedule. You want to schedule your priorities. That's the key thing. Your schedule doesn't rule you. Your schedule is just a resource for you. So once you have your priorities, once you have these big rocks, they actually determine your responsibilities. Now think about that. If I know my priority is my wife, Danielle, and I've established that, now that is setting up my responsibilities. What does it mean to be a good husband? What does it mean to be a friend? What does it mean to be a soulmate? What does it mean to do life together? That dictates that. So when I look at responsibilities, I'm starting to ask the question, what will it take to get these big rocks to be successful? You know where structure is used a lot? It's called in investments. So I just did my taxes, and one of the things you do for your taxes is you get your 401k, or for us at Cedarville, it's a 403b because we're a nonprofit, and you look at how you've invested. And if I say, hey, at 65, I want to retire, then I can't wait to 62 to start investing in my portfolio. I have to start now. Same thing with your relationships, your education, your job. You've got to invest in it today if you want to reap or get the rewards later. And those are your responsibilities. So your priorities determine your responsibilities. Your responsibilities are those things, what needs to happen. So like for Danielle, I need to be home at 5. I need to make sure my phone is turned off. I need to make sure that I'm actually engaging in conversation. And when she asks the question, how was your day? My response is not the normal male response of fine. But it's like, here's what happened during the day. and then asking her and being engaged in questions with her and not having my phone out and being distracted, that's part of that responsibility. Because then once I've got my priorities, which establish my responsibilities now focus my organization. So now you're like, hey, just tell me how to have structure. Let me tell you, if you don't have the right priorities, you don't know what they are, and you don't know what your responsibilities are based upon those priorities, I don't care how much you organize, you're going to be really, really frustrated because you're going to be organizing over and over and over and over and over again. Your organization is how you get things done. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's how you get things done. And a couple of things, this is practical. In your job, you have to adopt what they have done. So in our team, it's Basecamp, it's Google. Now it's Cedarville, it's FileShare, it's FileBound, it's all these other programs that I have to deal with, which scare me to death. But that's the structure that the organization have. When I go to my church is not set up as an elder-run church. It's a deacon-run church, so it's a different structure. I've got to adopt that. But I also have to adapt what I see in the world to what works for me. So some of you might think, well, you're pretty organized, Brian. I can never be that way. I am not that organized. I just have systems in my life that allow me to get things done. I put things down in Basecamp, and it allows me to see things. I've got stuff down on Basecamp for July. So if I look at my task, I got over 70 tasks to get done, but some of those are in July or June or even in May. So the whole idea is I'm preparing for the future so I don't have to worry about it today. So that works for me. Some of you, it might be a program like Google Hangouts or Google Task or anything like that. It might be something that's really, really fancy like Todoist or other programs that are out there. You have to find what works for you. Some of you might want a piece of paper. Guess what? That's okay. Michael Hyatt has made a business of having things that allow people to plan their life. And if you want one of those, we've got several in the office. There's a lot of things out there, but so you have to adopt what your organization has, and then you've got to adapt on how you need to organize your life. Our family organization is drastically different than probably what Dan and Olivia's are or is. The idea is some families like the envelope system. We don't have the envelope system because I'm scared to death to carry cash because I'm afraid I'm going to lose it. And I do that. I've lost a $100 bill the other day, just found it, and it was from like 2 years ago. It was a Christmas present from my mom. I'm like, hey, Rich. I'm rich again. The whole idea of it is that we don't carry cash, but we have a program on my phone and on Danielle's phone that allows us to do an envelope system via credit card. So we're tracking all of those things. So whatever works for you. All right, so your organization allows you to get things done. So what I want to do right now, I want to kind of just give you a story of how this could apply. And it's one from my life. When I worked at Greenbrier Christian Academy in Virginia Beach, Virginia, one of the roles that I had was to be a golf coach, which my first year there, hey, you're the JV coach. And I'm like, okay, I can't break 100 in the game of golf. I'm not very good. You're asking me to coach golf, which I've never done before. Don't know how to do that. And you're also asking me to coach golf in a very golf-heavy area, because if you've not been around that area, it's very heavy in golf. Everybody plays it, okay? So that's what happened my first year. The second year, the head coach left. And at Christian schools, you can probably imagine what happens. Hey, dude, you're now the head coach. And I'm sitting here at one time going, I'm in a crisis now because I have no idea what I'm doing. I had 1 year of watching and listening and learning and reading, but that was for JV. This is now varsity. This is for schools these are for high school kids that hope to play golf one day. And we're also a program that's at the lowest level. It was a Tidewater Conference of Independent Schools, so we were at the lowest level there. Out of 12 schools, I think we were 15. No, we were 12. But out of 12 schools, we were at the bottom. So I'm sitting here going, okay, team, what do you want to do? I said for myself, I want to be the best coach this year. And the team said, well, we want to be the best team. And I stopped them. I said, this is way too vague. We need 3 things, 3 priorities that we could come up with. And the first one was I wanted them to be proud of who they were in the school and also to be on the team. Number 2, I wanted to finish in the top 5 of the Tidewater Conference. So that's seven places up. And then I also wanted to be respected by other coaches. And then our school golf team would be respected. Now, when we started, my first year as JV, we were playing on a municipal course, and it was a piece of junk. And all these other schools, you go to these schools like Norfolk Academy, where George Washington's kids have gone. And you go into all these other schools down there, and they're playing on these nice country clubs. So we're like, man, okay, we know what our priorities are. We want to be respected. We want our teams to be proud of what they do, and we want to finish higher. What's that going to take? Well, we're going to have to find a new golf course. So I started talking to parents, and we were able to secure a country club right around the street from us. Found out later that that's where my in-laws now live, on that country club. But the whole idea, we got this country club, and it was nicer than the other ones. So that's number one. Okay, number two, I'm still not a good golf coach because I'm still not breaking 90 at this point. And the whole idea is like, I got to get help. So we found help. I got the pro that was there. I said, would you help me? He happened to be a Christian. He happened to have a kid in another Christian schools, but he really liked that we asked, and his school didn't ask, so I guess you get there first, you win. So he was helping us. So he helped develop a new program for us, knew how to train things. He helped to give the kids bags. We never had our own golf bags with our logo on it, but now they had golf bags with their logo on it. So now, when we get into the organization, we've done everything that we need. Our priorities are those three things. Our responsibilities was we got a new course, we get new equipment, we've gotten help. Now our organization, well, we're changing the way that we train. The way you used to train in golf was, hey, I'm at golf practice, where's the driving range? Now just let me go play. There were a couple times when I was coaching JV that I saw one kid, he did it twice. He did a Happy Gilmore off the 18th tee, and his ball hit a car. So this is the team that I'm inheriting. I'm inheriting the Adam Sandler golfers right here. So the whole idea is I said, no, we're not going to do that. So we came up with a program for our practices. And the practices started with putting. You had to make a 20-foot putt, a 15-foot putt, a 10-foot putt, and a 2-foot putt. Then I let you go to the driving range. Then you're like, good, I get to go play the course. No, then you got to go over to the practice pitching range or the pitching green, and you have to pitch in or within 1 foot 5 times before you can go on the course. There were some times that none of those kids got out on the course. But when they were out on the course, they didn't just go out and play. I had to shadow them. So I would go around and I would talk to them about course management, mentality, how to make sure to play within yourself, and all those different things. That's what my role was as the coach. So at the end of the year, well, let me back up one other thing we did. When coaches and other schools came, it used to be that Greenbrier was like, well, hey, how you guys doing? And we were so disorganized. We arrived on time together. So we always drove together. We gave the new coach or the coach coming a folder with all of our scorecards. But I also changed up the mentality of how we played the game. Meaning if it was a number one players, usually play number one players. That's not how we did it anymore. Because usually if you're not as good as the other school, your number one is not as good as the other number one. So I had my number one play my number 5. I'm mentally going after the other team. Because the idea, but I'm also showing my number 5 that I value what you do, because usually if you're the bottom 2 golfers, your score doesn't count. So it's like, why am I even playing? Now I'm showing my number 5. You're going and you're hitting first, and you're going off with that first group. In doing that, I saw the scores of my number 5 grow. So we changed that all up. At the end of the year, we were 4th in the Tidewater. Not too bad. Not too bad. Now, I think we would have won the tournament. I had a golfer that was like 5 under par at hole number 7, and hole number 7 was one that you were not supposed to take a driver, but he was feeling so good, and he took a 20 on that hole. Which that got us to 4th, but he felt bad, so I don't feel bad anymore. But the idea is we were number 4. They were proud of their school because now you're starting to see their head covers are no longer these Titleist head covers. They're going and getting these Gator head covers. Granted, University of Florida, but it was you're getting Gator head covers. And I still have a ornament that they gave me at the end of the season for coaching them that we still hang on the tree. So all of this stuff that happened, and even the idea of being respected, and this shocked me, is at the end, we found out that our coaching staff was voted the runner-up for coaches of the year that year, going from 12th to 4th, and like, here's a coach that's never coached before except for 1 year, going to coach, like runner-up to coach of the year. That means like second loser. But the whole idea of it is we have gained respect in the Tidewater Conference because of structure. And a lot of times when you look at structure, you get intimidated by it. Don't get intimidated by it. It works anywhere. It works on a golf team. It works in your education. It works in relationships. It works just anywhere you are, but you have to be willing to do it. So a couple questions I have at the end for you. Number one, where do you see structure around you, and how can you learn from that? So look around you. Start looking at people that you think have their life together, or it seems like they have good structure or good boundaries, and see what you can learn from that. And then I want to challenge you, where do you need structure in your life? Some of you probably don't have that good work-life balance or life-work balance, and you're doing so much during the day and you're trying to keep up. Where do you need structure in your life? Because I think half of it is just admitting that you need it and moving from that. Because structure, if you want to remember this, it protects you, right? It respects others. Because if I have good structure, I'm respecting you because I'm getting my stuff done before I need you to be a part of that. And it builds relationships and allows me for opportunities to serve. So service is opportunities. If you want to be reliable, which all of us do, you need structure. Life without structure is a life without somebody who is reliable. And I don't think that any of us want to do that, because Matthew 5:16 says, put your light on display so people can see your good works and glorify your Father who's in heaven. Okay? That's it.